F you and your stupid genocide, and how sick and disgusting you are.
Pools of blood mark where the children were standing when the Israeli drones struck. They had been fetching water at these communal taps.
These were children who were getting water, just kids. Look at this. See what they attacked. They attacked children, not fugitives. This is all what they had with them, nothing else. Are these what they consider to be missiles? They're children, for God's sake.
Well, Israel has not let up on its slaughter of Palestinians in Gaza, including children, of course, with yet another Israeli airstrike that killed 7 children and 6 adults yesterday, and that's according to the director of nursing at Nasser Hospital. You know, the hospital that was reportedly hit with an Israeli double tap, but it turns out after reviewing the footage, Israel had bombed that hospital 4 separate times in a short period of time. Anyway, the victims were all located in Al-Mawasi, which Israel had identified and declared a safe zone for the Palestinians. But since the start of this genocide, the IDF has intentionally targeted Palestinians, specifically in areas Palestinians were told to evacuate to for safety. In fact, I want you to watch this video dating back to October of 2023 when I brought this up on the PBD podcast.
We all saw the story about the hospital that was bombed by Israel. How could you do this? How could you kill innocent civilians? The New York Times basically is now retracting their statement. Yeah, it turns out it was the Islamic Jihad with a failed rocket. I can assure you of this.
Hold on. That is not definitive, number one.
Yeah, it's still not.
That is not definitive,
even the Wall Street Journal came out and said
that is one example. Even if I give you that argument and it is proven without any doubt that it was Hamas that did that. That is one incident in a situation where 1.1 million Palestinians are being told to evacuate their homes. As they're being evacuated to the part of the Gaza Strip where they're gonna be safe, that area gets bombed, okay?
So let me ask you a very direct question. Do you think Israel wants to kill innocent civilians?
I do.
You think Israel genuinely wants to?
I do.
What evidence do you have of that?
The evidence is they are refusing to do special operations and instead are relying on bombing areas where they know civilians are at, and then they'll turn around and say, "Well, Hamas is using them as human shields." So the proof was in the pudding pretty early on. It's just that some of us have been paying attention and won't fall victim to lies and gaslighting by the Israeli government. It's that simple. It's so obvious what's happening, Cenk. And like this level of barbarism and cruelty and inhumane acts, it's hard to make sense of it. You get what I'm saying? Like I've always known there's evil in the world. But it's so hard to make sense of this level of inhumanity that you're like, I find myself seeking for answers like almost in the supernatural. Do you get what I mean?
No.
I know.
Yeah, sorry, stone cold atheist. And you know, people claim to be super religious, and that means that they're more moral. In my experience, there's tons of wonderful religious people, and usually they're the quiet ones who are just practicing their faith and help the needy and the homeless, et cetera, et cetera. But the people pretending to be the most pious, the fundamentalist religious folks, are the least moral among us. That's my experience.
Yep, I agree.
Whether it's Jewish, Muslim, or Christian, or any other religion, the zealots are the ones that do all the damage, and they always tell us that God wants them to murder the other people. And so in this case, yes, are there Israeli zealots who are Jewish fundamentalists who believe that God gave a promise in that land, so they should murder the Palestinians? Absolutely, absolutely. And unfortunately, there's a couple of them in the Israeli cabinet. And if they leave the cabinet, then Netanyahu will have to step down. They'll have to have a new election. And Netanyahu has no chance of winning the new election because of that. And besides which, Netanyahu is a monster. There are some people who just are terrible, evil people, okay? And Netanyahu is one of the most evil men of my lifetime. easily. So, okay, another stat for you guys, and I don't want you to get inured to these stats and have them just think like, oh, it's just a statistic, right? Because when an Israeli child dies, the world cries after October 7th, 36 kids killed, and that's a tragedy and horrific, and they're actually children and babies. When 20,000 Palestinian children are killed, it becomes a statistic. When in reality, it's 36 kids and another 36 and another 36, and it goes on and on. So today, the starvation total reached 367 people, and 131 of them are children. So Israel now, the current government of Israel, has starved to death 131 kids. They have killed over 20,000 children overall. And today they told them, hey, come here for water, because now human rights organizations are saying we're going beyond starvation. We now have a thirst problem in Gaza where people are in danger of dying from not having water to drink, okay? That is how brutal this disgusting, sick terrorist government of Israel is today. And so I mean, it doesn't get any more obvious of collective punishment than starving people to death. So this is a monstrous government, and everyone supporting it at this late date is obviously a monster who's pro-genocide, used never again as a punchline, or really maliciously like, oh, never again to us, but we get to do it to you, and we have a special exemption. We get to do any genocide or ethnic cleansing we like. Well, if you're in that mindset, you're a sick person. And so I can't stand it anymore. I don't know how much more outrage the world has left for this disgusting Israeli cabinet who says, we're gonna starve them to death, we're gonna kill them, we're gonna take their land, and that's what they're saying now. We're gonna take Gaza, we're gonna drive out 2 million. Imagine how they're gonna drive out 2 million Palestinians. If you think this has been bad, wait till they start the ethnic cleansing of not just moving them around Gaza until they die, which is what they've been doing now, but to try to move them out of Gaza. And so it's going to be, this slaughterhouse is going to turn into, honestly, now all the genocide scholars say, 86% of them said, yes, obviously a genocide, textbook genocide, right? But we're moving from genocide to Holocaust if they try to move those 2 million people.
And by the way, they're planning on, I mean, they are working on a plan to also displace and move out Palestinians in the West Bank as well, in their annexation of the West Bank.
And so now,
that would be a total of 6 million people.
So I did a video about this over the weekend. Check out my Weekends with Cenk videos on our YouTube channel. But yeah, Axios had a good report about it, and they're like, oh, France and Canada and the UK saying that they're gonna recognize Palestine. How dare they? We did not give them permission, okay? So they will bow to us. If they don't, that's it, we're annexing the West Bank. Don't tell us it's because of spite and your feelings are hurt, and the whole world's anti-Semites. Nobody's believing your junk anymore, okay? If you're saying that, look, there's only people left are the Israeli bots and trolls online, and they're always 100% of their comments are lies. No one believes them. They look ridiculous. Well, now with this kind of disinformation that they're putting out there, yes, I love that you played that old clip, because that's what they do. Oh, Israel bombing a hospital. We would never do anti-Semite, anti-Semite. You guys are, it's your fault, your fault. We're the victims, right? Well, what'd you do? You bombed every hospital in Gaza. So whose fault is it? It was definitely Israel's fault, and they definitely intended it. And I mean, look, there he is, a giant Israeli supporter, still to this day. I forgot his name already, Adam. He's like, oh yeah, I love genocide. Oh yeah, who cares? Murder all the Palestinian children on behalf of my great Israel, right? F you and your stupid genocide, and how sick and disgusting you are. Okay, so what happened? Your standard, Adam, was, well, obviously it's not a genocide. Obviously there's nothing wrong, because Israel would never bomb a hospital. Well, now they bombed all the hospitals. So based on your standard, they were monsters, weren't they? They were intending it, weren't they? They are terrorists, weren't they? Any cable news anchor that says that Israeli government is not terrorists is lying to you, and he's getting paid to lie to you and to pretend that, oh, they're just the little victims. I can't stand it. They make me sick. The current Israeli government is one of the most disgusting governments I have ever seen in my lifetime. They're fascists. It's not even close. And if you're defending fascists, just never, ever, ever say never again. Don't go to any Holocaust museums. Don't talk about Holocaust or genocide if you're cheerleading for one right now. And look, there are good people in Israel.
Yeah, there are, and I want to talk
Yeah.
about them because, look, I think it's important to differentiate between the genocidal lunatics who do not care at all about human life in Gaza or the West Bank, don't care if we're talking about literal children, they will slaughter away. Differentiate them from the moral individuals who have been speaking out and now feel compelled to speak out even louder, knowing that there will be backlash and some serious consequences for doing so. So I want to talk a little bit about the Israeli reservists who are resisting. They will not go to Gaza, and in fact are risking jail time in order to avoid engaging in what they see as an illegal, an illegal operation, illegal war. So an Israeli American by the name of Matt Kresh is one of those reservists, and let's see what he had to say.
Max Kirsch, an American Israeli, proudly served in the Israeli army on numerous occasions, including after Hamas went on a murder and kidnapping rampage nearly 2 years ago.
Why don't you support the war now?
The war right now is a direct threat to our future. It's a direct threat to the future of Israelis, of civilians, of our own values.
We refuse to take part in Netanyahu's illegal war, and we see it as a patriotic duty to refuse and to demand accountability. We are the same reservists and soldiers who dropped everything on October 7th and rushed to the fronts to report for duty to protect our people. It is precisely from that same sense of duty which we are driven to refuse and to use our voices loudly to resist Netanyahu's attempts to sacrifice everything for his own political survival. Netanyahu's ongoing war of aggression needlessly puts our own hostages in danger and has wreaked havoc on the fabric of Israeli society, while at the same time killing, maiming, and starving an entire population of Gazan civilians.
So there was one other reservist who spoke to NBC News on condition of anonymity, but I think the statement was important, so I want to read it to you. So this person said, "In my spiritual life, we talk about how much life is important. I think life now, how the way we see life in Gaza, we don't see them like a life, we see them like bugs."
Yeah, that was the most haunting of the comments. And I deeply appreciate those guys both having a conscience and saying, and remember what we said about the Germans. Just saying, hey, I'm following orders is not good enough.
Right.
And so these people are actually living up to those standards that we set. And that they helped us set as a community earlier, right?
You know that Netanyahu refers to them as terrorists?
The people not going in to sign up.
And those protesting what's happening in Gaza within Israel. That's what he does, guys. That's what he does. That's what these sick lunatics do. They will turn against their own people for having a moral conscience.
Yeah, so I want to give you some numbers that came out from a Tel Aviv University poll. They're definitely more encouraging than the earlier poll numbers, because the earlier poll numbers are so devastating from inside the Israeli population. And I couldn't believe it. That's how shocking it was, that 82% of Israeli Jews say keep going in Gaza. But it turns out that poll might have issues. So whether it does or not, at least there's a second poll that gives us a little bit more hope and humanity, right? So in that poll, 45% of Israelis, but when you take out the Arab population in Israel, 53% of Israeli Jews say keep going in Gaza. So it's still a majority, and that's still a terrible, disastrous number, right? But it is way better than 82%, so that's good. And then there's some other numbers that are a little bit more encouraging. 44% saying basically, let's leave, right? And so that's a good number. Or that, and they're more specific than that there should be a different entity that rules Gaza, not Israel and not Hamas. I would take that in a second.
Me too, yeah.
In fact, Egypt has a proposal where the Arab countries would do that. They would pay for it, they would guard it, they would make sure that it's safe and that it does not attack Israel. So that proposal exists today, and apparently 44% of Israelis are in favor of it. That's good. And that includes the Arabs, but still. And so and only 15% want to bring settlers back in. And I was surprised by that number. That is a great number.
Yeah.
So because I would have thought that it was a much bigger number that wanted to bring people back into Israel. And then finally, 37% are in favor of a two-state solution. That's way too low. That used to be above 50%, but at least it's a number we can work with, and we can get it back up to over 50% if we keep going like this. And unfortunately now the last one's a depressing number. 34% of Israelis overall, that includes the Arabs, says that there should be one state with no Palestinian rights.
Jesus.
So they're servants, I guess, and they're inferior, and they don't have rights. They're just there to serve the Israelis. That's 34% of Israelis believe that's what should happen to the Palestinians.
Yeah, that's
okay.
depressing.
So that is a depressing number. So overall, my assessment is there's a little bit of hope that there is a percentage high enough in Israel that he can eventually pick up momentum and maybe win an election at some point in our lifetime, right? But so far they're in a dark place for the majority there, and they're not seeing what we're seeing, what the rest of the world isn't seeing. And the last thing is, you know how I say be fair to Trump voters, be fair to far left, not so much far right, anyway, and the Israelis, etc., because they're not necessarily seeing the same thing you're seeing. Right? So for a lot of Israelis, if you think the propaganda here in America is thick, and it is, right? Inside Israel, they're like, oh yeah, Gaza's a picnic and blah, 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 right?
I totally disagree. No, I've been actually relying more on Israeli media to get a more accurate picture of what's going on in Gaza.
No, I hear you, and that's a good point. And we've given Israel credit in the past for having pretty healthy media. And I'm getting a lot of these reports from Haaretz, including the Tel Aviv poll that I told you guys, and Channel 12, plus 972, etc. Have done some great work, right? Now, having said that, they're considered a minority in Israel, and it's like, oh, those channels, oh, that's cute. They still think Palestinians are humans, right? And so like, I don't want to minimize it too much because they do good work and they are influencing people, but they are definitely in the minority. And so what a lot of folks are seeing is, of course we're right. And of course everyone opposed to us is terrorists and Nazis and anti-Semites, and they would kill us all. They're gonna kill us all. They're gonna kill us all unless we kill them first. We gotta kill them first. And that's the majority of what they're seeing in Israel. And they've gotten themselves into a frenzy that, oh my God, we're all gonna die any second. When in reality, they have nukes, they have the top military in the Middle East, they have Iron Dome, and it's actually the Palestinians that are being slaughtered, right? So anyways, bottom line is, thank you to the reservists that have a conscience and that are trying to bring the morality of Israel back, and so that we can get to peace and end this genocide. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets its wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.